this flaming black one.
Oh, okay, flaming dragon. Fuckface. First, take a big step back and literally...
The most important part of this optic, you get a dragon on it. So if you notice on the 8H, you do not have a dragon. So yeah, if you have a dragon on your optic, then you're free to make plenty of inappropriate jokes. For example, people will look at your optic and say, hey, is that a dragon on the side of your optic? And you say a dragon these nuts across your face. So it just lends itself to many opportunities like that you just simply don't get with the Romeo 8H. People are gonna say, oh, is that a SIG Romeo 8? Like, yep. And then that's the end of the conversation. So today I wanted to do a quick video and look at 3 of the large rifle mailbox style red dot sights. I've got the Holosun AEMS Max Ronin, and then the Romeo 8H over here, and then the Romeo 8T. We'll go through the, not unboxing, but look at whatever's in the box that comes with these, and then kind of talk about the overall build quality of the optics and which one I think is the best out of the group. And obviously the 8T is a significant premium compared to the 8H and the AEMS. It's kind of like, is it worth it, or should you settle for one of these? So the 8T. So opening this up, so I actually have this on my MCX over here, so I'll pull it off. So, but this is what is in the box. So you get a socket wrench to adjust the mount with, and then they give you a breaker bar. Not a breaker bar, but whatever. It's kind of funny because you see a lot of optics, will come with a little baby Allen key, and then SIG's here you go. This is what you mount your optic with. So that speaks to the, I think, bomb-proofness of the Romeo 8T, which I've got mounted on my MCX. This is my, primary bedside firearm, main squeeze, whatever you want to call it. And I definitely love this. It's a 9-inch, I don't remember, 9-inch, 300 blackout with a Sandman S on it. This sits at, I think, 1.535 inches from the rail. So it's good for, a good cheek weld there. And yeah, presents a nice clear sight picture. So let's go ahead and get this off. There we go. So yeah, so this is, how it all fits nicely in the box there. And then it comes with a kill flash. And the little breaker bar in it, it's kind of interesting. It has I think it's a T10 and a T20 or something. I don't know exactly the sizes on those, but I know one of them is a T10 because these screws here are a T10, and so you can remove the shot if you want to. So here is the 8H. I just put this one on. I had a SIG 5.56 that I was shooting, those 6-hour AK-47 kind of deals. It's like the MCX before the MCX existed, for those of you all wondering what I'm talking about. But anyways, so I shot this optic, and yeah, I mean, it's virtually identical to the 8T, except it doesn't have the shroud. And I'll put some footage up here at some point showing the difference in glass quality. The glass quality is definitely better on the 8T. And then the reticle LED emitter, that seems pretty identical between the two. It's not just that this has the titanium shroud over the 8H. So I do think that the 8T is worth the price premium, but we'll kind of get into that here in a second. Unlike the 8T, which has this socket wrench, the 8H only comes with this little adjustable, or not adjustable wrench, but it's a little wrench that wrenches on here, and then it has a little wrench flat for you to, or screwdriver to do the, your windage and elevation over here. So it just doesn't, this is the cheaper optic, and I guess, the extra socket wrench was that's only for premium optics, not the not the mid tier. That's too much money to add an extra wrench in there. So, so you don't get that with the 8H. And then we've got the Holosun Ronin AEMS Max, AEMS Max RD, Ronin AEMS Max red dot. Inside the box, we've got an extra battery tray and the wrench to adjust the battery tray screws, as well as the mount, which is a QD lever mount. It's a nice mount. It's just not as nearly close to the level of the Romeo 8s. So the 8T, kind of, we'll do externals and then talk about the glass quality, battery life, and the reticle, and then the price on these. So externals on this. So the Romeo 8T is made out of 7075 T6 aluminum, and it weighs 13.7 ounces. So this is significantly far and away the heaviest optic. I mean, it is pretty heavy for a red dot, but this is also, in my opinion, it kind of has the reputation as like the ACOG, the indestructible, go to war optic. This is very durable. And the mount on it is the main reason for that, because it's got these 2 recoil lugs, and then the mount for mounting this optic, it comes with that whole socket wrench. So I actually looked up the torque specs for this bolt is 65 inch-pounds, which is impressive because on the SIG MCX over here, I don't know how many of y'all know, but you can swap out the barrels on this pretty easy. There's just 2 bolts that require, I think, 60 inch-pounds each to work down the MCX barrel. So that's impressive when the red dot requires a similar level of torque to hold this together. Like, that's how durable this is. And that's compared to the Holosun, the torque setting on this is not to exceed 20 inch-pounds. So that's just for reference. So you can see on the Romeo 8T, the recoil lugs, I'm starting to get some, paint wearing on, or Cerakote, I guess, wearing on the recoil lugs there. And this one isn't showing yet because I've not shot it nearly as much. But, so those recoil lugs are getting some work in. And then on the Holosun AEMS, it only has 1 recoil lug. This, you can tell, this bar that goes through is squared off, right? So that's kind of almost a 3rd recoil lug. And then this is just a, smooth, whatever. It's a rounded bolt that goes through. So SIG really is trying to make this as durable and hold 0 as well as possible, whereas Holosun was like, let's just get a gigantic window on there. So, probably more suited for the, the duty crap hit the fan scenario, and the Holosun AEMS, it can probably do it, but it's just not as confidence inspiring, I think, is the way to say it. Okay, so then next up, the buttons on these. Buttons are very clickable. My buttons are starting to wear a little bit on this 8T. They definitely feel a little better on the 8H. Or I guess I can do this. They just have a little more squish on the AT, and then the Holosun AEMS. So honestly, I do like the Holosun AEMS buttons the most. They just are the most clickable. Like, these have a little squish to them before you actually actuate it, so it's kind of like, you kind of wonder, did that click? But then you hear the click, and and you will feel it as well. So it is good. Okay, then the water resistance on these. These all have a water resistance rating of IPX8. I found some websites say that the 8H has an IPX7, which I don't think is true. I'm pretty sure it is IPX8 as well. That's what it says in the 6-hour manual. Moving on to the 8H though, the aluminum on this is 6061 T6, which is, just like kind of your next tier down on aluminum. But it weighs 10.7 ounces. And I think that I had a scale on here at one point that I weighed these on, and they were all similar to what, I'm just reading off whatever the specs are, but they actually do weigh pretty close to what is on the manual here. Holosun AEMS Max. Okay, so this one is the, largest optic of all of these, and you know, it's significantly larger than the 8T and 8H. And, you know, if I put these down side by side, I mean, you can just see how much larger that is. Shockingly so, it seems. But, you know, and shockingly because this is an enormous optic, right? And then this is like, you know, this is the this is the guy that she tells you not to worry about kind of a deal is what's going on here. Last kind of part that I like to look at on these is kind of the bezel on these, like how thick is the bezel? Obviously the 8T is going to be the worst because it has the titanium shroud. The 8H is the best, just how thin that is, and then the AEMS is, you know, kind of splitting the difference between all of these. So yeah, so there's that. And then the window size on this. So this is where it gets interesting. So, you know, typically the smallest window rifle red dot is going to be like your whatever Holosun 403B, I think, or 503B. That's like your smallest window in the industry. And then the Romeo 8Ts, though, these windows on both of them are 32 millimeters by 23 millimeters. So significantly larger than the smallest. The length times width is roughly double the area of your smallest windows. So that's impressive. And then the Holosun AEMS, though, the area on this is 40 millimeters by 30 millimeters. So this is roughly double the window size of the Romeo 8T. So it's like, it's pretty wild how much bigger this optic is. So then the brightness levels on these. Okay, so I've got a video that I'll probably overlay here, but there are 10 daytime brightness levels on each of these. And then the Romeo 8Ts, or 8H and 8T, have 3 night vision settings. And then this has 10 daytime, 2 night. So, and then the levels of brightness between these, I think, you know, I'm gonna crank these all up to max brightness here. So between the 8H and the 8T, I think that the 8H is a little bit brighter. Where is, yeah, okay, so I think the 8H is a little bit brighter, but I think that's only because this one is like brand new, and then my 8T is, you know, has been shot significantly more, you know, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 rounds more, whatever, significantly more than the 8H. And then comparing the 8H to the Holosun AEMS, this is, I think the 8H is still brighter than the AEMS. There we go. So there's your kind of comparison. In my opinion, the AEMS, I'll knock the brightness down 1 level on this. I think that the AEMS brightness is equal to the Romeo 8s on like 1 max brightness minus 1, like is what it kind of comes down to. And it's a little different shade of red, honestly, between the two of these. But yeah, so there's that. Yeah, because on max brightness, yeah, it's definitely a little bit bright on the 8H. And I will say, I shot these optics, I shot the Romeo 8T a good amount this past summer. And, you know, I live in Dallas, Texas, and I shoot down at this gun range that's kind of a big, like, dirt lot. And so, you know, they have a lot of gravel everywhere. And, like, I needed this on max brightness. And there was a few times where it was, you know, 1 p.m. in the middle of July on this gun range. And I was kind of wishing that it could go a little bit brighter. But that's, like, peak brightness. So all I'm saying is there's some dots that get like nuclear bright and you're like, you don't need that. This one, I think you need every bit of the brightness. So that could be a small downside for the Holosun AEMS, is that it just slightly doesn't get as bright as the others. Okay, so then glass quality. So the main reason I rank them like that is just there's a significant amount of blue tint on this. Yeah, it's almost like too much. There's really not much on the 8T at all. So that's kind of where it's like, oh, well, you're paying an extra $250 for the 8T over the 8H just for the titanium shroud. And the answer is no, you're getting, you know, a better quality aluminum, the titanium shroud, and a better glass quality as well. So that's significant. And without really losing any reticle clarity. The reticle on both of these is pretty similar. Quality is similar, which is impressive because usually you have a better, crisper dot with more blue tint. So I don't know if there's like a different emitter there. Haven't looked into that, but that's all I'm saying. And then the AEMS kind of splits the difference between these two as far as glass quality goes. The 8T fish eyes a little bit less than the 8H and the AEMS. And you know, the fish eyes, the lens distortion, like I'll put a video up of it where, you know, if I'm looking at a straight line, like, is it like, you know, if a straight line, like, is it like getting like distorted based on, you know, how like straight the optic is or not, you know, as you go side to side. And the reason that's bad is you want to be target focused with all of these, right? So you want this to effectively be a heads up display where you're just like looking through the optic, you have both eyes open, you're looking through, and then you just see this floating orb that's like kind of in the mix and it's in your sight picture. And you just want to put that over your target, right? And you're fully target focused. Well, if you have a lot of lens distortion, it's going to distract your eye because the image is like doing this unnatural like bending of light that, you know, is going to make you red dot focus, and you do not want to, you know, have your focus like being broken and, you know, as you're shooting and whatnot. So, but all that said, they're very similar, and any issues you have with not being target focused, I mean, you can train it out. Like, it's not a problem. I mean, these are all premium red dots, but just the Romeo AT I think is a little better. So then, okay, battery life, battery type, both the AT and the 8H use the CR123A batteries, which provide, it says 100,000 hours plus, and it's like, I don't know who's ever tested that, but I mean, holy crap, that's a lot of hours. The Holosun AEMS uses a coin battery CR2032, and it is 50,000 hours of battery life. So definitely better battery life on the 8s over here than the Holosun AEMS, but the Holosun has a kicker with the solar panel on top, so this can run with a totally dead battery, and it'll just draw in from any ambient light. It doesn't have to be sunlight. It can just be a regular, you know, if you're in an indoor range and you just have to have some kind of light that it'll flip over to. Lastly, the price on these. So the Romeo 8T is around 750 bucks. 8H is $550. And the Holosun AEMS Max is $540. You know, the way to think about this, like the price for like what you're getting here, the 8T, you know, if I'm gonna give like a final thought kind of conclusion to like wrap all this up, like which is the best optic of all of these, the 8T far and away is the best. And then if you want a really great optic that's just a little bit lighter, Romeo 8H is also gonna be a great option. Just the mount of this is what makes me not hesitate on the durability. The titanium shroud is like a kicker, I think, on the 8T. The Holosun AEMS, you know, $540. I think this sight is really good. If you don't have a large mailbox style red dot sight and you want to just test it out, I do not think you're going to be disappointed with the AEMS Max. You know, it doesn't have the insane recoil lug structure as the Romeo 8, but just the window is so enormous that, you know, I think that's worth trying out. This is, I think, if you're, you know, more of like an early adopter of technology, then, you know, give this one a shot. And the reason I say that is I just don't know if this is necessary. The reason you want to have a large window red dot is that when you're rapidly shooting, you are not losing the reticle in the window. It's always there. It's just kind of like, where is it? It's a lot easier to lose a red dot on a pistol than a rifle. So having a large windowed optic on a pistol, I think, especially for competition and all that, it makes a lot of sense. It's just, this is like, it's cool, but like, do you need it? It's, you know, if I were to make a car analogy for it, like this is your like 500 horsepower sports car, and then this is like the twin turboed whatever 900 plus, and it's like, but do you need it? Like, that's cool, but like, you know, there's kind of overkill. So yeah. But anyways, guys, hope you liked the review. Let me know, you know, what you think in the comments. Let me know if you have any other optics you want me to take a look at.